My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. This is the only channel dedicated to UFC picks and DraftKings lineups run by professional fighters and MMA insiders. Every week, I join Nick Newell, professional fighter, professional model, and ESPN Top 10 guest, along with Dan Kramer, UFC fighter, Bellator fighter, Ultimate Fighter alumni, and Jacob Lyons, a skinny kid from Indiana. And we break down every single fight, the betting odds, the DraftKings picks, and we set you up for success. This week, we're breaking down the Blaydes versus Lewis fight night. First up on the Blaydes versus Lewis fight card, we have Rafael Alves versus Pat Sabatini. We have two relative newcomers to the UFC with a very interesting fight. It's a mismatch in DraftKings. It's a mismatch in the betting odds, but I actually think it'll be much closer considering Pat Sabatini took this fight on 1 week's notice. Nick, why don't you go ahead, let us know who you think's going to win this fight, how you think this fight's going to go.
If you look at Alves' record, you can see those 9 losses. Those 9 losses stand out to me, but they were very early in his career. He's since turned a corner and fought really, really good people and picked up a lot of wins. So I can see as why he's the favorite. But if you look at Sabatini, he's a hammer. He runs people into the ground. He's got very good wrestling. And just all around, he's a winner and a very competitive fighter wherever the fight goes. I don't think that these lines make sense. I think that Sabatini actually has a better chance than people think, especially considering his wrestling. But if I was going to pick a favorite, I would obviously pick Alves. Now, if you bet a lot and you don't really have a lot of room in your lineup and you want to take the risk, I do not think Sabatini is a bad risk, but I'm going to stay away from both this week.
Yeah, I think that's solid, and it's interesting because I do agree. I think Pat Sabatini has the better chance of winning. I think his wrestling certainly helps him there. He did take it on very short notice, only a week or so. The big question mark for me for Pat is he had a pretty gruesome injury about a year or so ago. He won since then, but I just don't know, sort of what that does to your psyche, and he's taking this on short notice. So there's a lot of questions sort of up in the air, but I think the odds are way off, but it'll definitely be competitive. I don't know, Dan, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think an injury a year ago, as bad as that was, affects him?
No, yeah, I agree. I would love to see what the odds would look like if this fight were not Sabatini taking on a week's notice. I always say nowadays, like, short notice is a big question mark because guys, you got to figure they're planning to be ready for that call. So I do think in that sense he could be a good value pick at 7,300. I'm probably not going to touch this one right now just because I like Sabatini. I think he does some tricky things, but Alves is good as well. He's an athlete. But him taking it on 1 week's notice, coming off an injury, I'm not going to touch it at this point. I got some other people in mind that I'd rather go after.
So, and Nick, I forgot to ask you, but so Nick, who do you think wins? And then Dan, who do you think actually wins, regardless of DraftKings?
I'm going with Alves would be the favorite because he's had more time to prepare. Okay. But I think Sabatini is a hammer, and I don't know what kind of shape he's in. I don't know how he's gonna show up, and he could get it done. So I'm just not gonna touch it because there's too many variables for me.
Gotcha. And then Dan, what's your pick? Same pick?
Yeah, I don't like me. Yeah, you forced us into these official picks. All right, I'll go with Alves because the other guy's taking on a week's notice. But yeah, if he's in great shape, I think that fight could be very different. Sabatini's really good, tricky in the clinch. But Alves is a really good athlete, and if he's in shape, that's going to be a problem over the course of a 3-round fight. So I'll go with Alves for the pick.
So Jacob, we're the two of them are going with Alves, less because of his just raw ability and more. He is very talented, but
I will say though too that if Sabatini, I'm just as I'm rethinking some of Alves' fights, he doesn't have the best cardio to begin with. So it may be kind of a break even with Sabatini taking it short notice. So I don't know. My mind is kind of a coin flip only because of the short notice. So I guess for now, official pick is Alves.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a much closer fight than these odds are. And so, Jacob, so 2 reluctant Alves picks, mostly because of a short notice Sabatini. What are your thoughts? You've fallen into that camp?
Yeah, and actually, Nick kind of undercut my big line I had planned out here. He said that Alves was kind of making a turn in his career. I was going to say that he was making the turn of his career lately because his nickname is The Turn. So thanks, Nick, for undercutting me on that. The first joke of the night just lands.
That's high quality stuff.
Yeah. So, but when I watch these fighters, what I see the most is I watched an interview, first of all, of Sabatini, and there's something different when champions talk. You can just tell the way they talk, the confidence. He's got that championship mentality. So when you say short notice fight, I don't think it's going to affect him at all. I think he has mental preparation to work through that. When I look at Alves, I see someone that's comfortable on his back, too comfortable. When he gets there, I don't see him getting up. And I think Sabatini is a better wrestler, and I think he's better at jiu-jitsu. Alves has 6 submission losses. And if you look at Sabatini's record, I believe of his 13 wins, he has 9 submission wins. So I think he gets on top. I think he bulldogs Alves, and I think he wins the fight.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm in that camp as well. I think Sabatini does win the fight. I'm picking him as an underdog. It's not the most confident pick I've ever had in my entire life, but I do think I think he can do it. His grappling is very strong, and I believe in the underdog this year. We have seen ridiculous underdog after ridiculous underdog get it done. He took it on short notice, but he is that kind of guy, and I have to assume he's prepared. He might not be 6-week training camp prepared, but I have to assume he's prepared, and for that reason, I'm picking him. So we are split here. We're 2-2. Everybody likes Sabatini. Everybody thinks Sabatini can win, but the 2 pro fighters are just going to side with Rafael Alves because of the full training camp.
One thing I will say is I'm going to do a little bit more research throughout the week just to see what Sabatini's been doing training-wise over the last 6 weeks. And if it looks like he's been like calling for a UFC fight over the last 2 months, I haven't looked that far yet. But if I see that and know that he's in shape, I will consider switching my pick and playing him in DraftKings, because if he comes in shape, I think he would win this fight. So that's the big question mark at this point.
So Dan's going to go creep some social media and let us know.
Sabatini, I'm going to be friend requesting you on Twitter. Let me know what you're doing for workowts.
Friend request on Twitter. That's funny.
Yeah, that's how old Dan is.
Sorry. Yeah, right.
Man, Dan.
You can tell how active I am. So I'll poke him, right? Do people still do that?
Jesus.
Check your inbox.
Before you go, check out the description below. In there, we have links to our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, and more importantly, to our DraftKings League. Check out the league, join the league, participate in the contests, and as we get going and as you start winning, we're going to start handing out gift cards and participating and doing things like that. So check those out. Every week, there are drops on every fight card. So make sure you check out this channel and our social media on Saturday before the fights start so that you have our most updated lineups and picks.